Hello, my name is Mr. Mendoza, and today we're still covering geometry, but now we're going to be talking about lines in geometry. You were with me last time when I talked about circles. This time we're going to talk about the lines. I know I mentioned some lines that went through a circle, and now we're going to cover the terminology of those lines. And we're going to go over some examples. Okay, let's get started. This is a line, a set of points that form a straight path that goes in opposite directions without ending. So these two arrows go on forever in opposite directions, and that is a line. Now I want to show you an example of a line using my body. And you can do this too, students. Stand up if you're sitting down at home and make two hands like this. These are going to be the arrows of the line. We extend them out, go in both directions. That is an example of a line using your body. Okay. Now we have a line segment. A part of a line between 2 points on the line called endpoints of the segment. So let me go back to the line real quick. This is the line. A line segment is taking part of the line and it's basically cutting the line. That's why there's two endpoints. This means that they end. They don't go on forever. It's just a part of the line. So an example of that would be to make two fists with your hands, extend them out, go in both ways. That is a line segment, a part of a line. Now let's talk about a ray. Part of a line that has one endpoint and continues without end in one direction. So like the line from before, instead of cutting a piece of the line out, a line segment, you only cut one end off, so it definitely has an end, but the other side keeps going. So that is a ray. Let's do it with our bodies. Make a fist. That's the end point. Make a palm. That's the arrow. Going the other way. A ray. All right? Now let's talk about perpendicular lines. Lines that intersect at right angles to each other to form square corners. So, like the first definition, a line keeps going both ways, but now with perpendicular lines, those two lines, there's two of them and they're intersecting. But they're perfectly intersecting to where there's that right angle there, a perpendicular line, a right angle. Now when it's not a right angle, when there's not a right angle in the intersection of the lines, it's just intersecting lines. Lines that meet or cross at a point. There are angles there, but they're not the right angle, so it's just intersecting lines. And an example with your body would just be crossing your arms. Anyway. Okay? Make sure you keep your palms out. Those are the arrows that keep on going. All right. Now, the last lines we're going to cover are parallel lines. Lines that lie on the same plane, never intersect, and are always the same distance apart. So these pairs of lines are just running alongside each other, evenly separated, equal distance apart, and they're just right next to each other. A parallel line. Okay. Now there's examples of these all around you, in the environment, in your building, in your house. And what we're going to do is put some of those examples to those terms and definitions in our own little reference fold out. So come over here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All I need is a piece of paper. And we're going to fold it in a way that we can put our title and have room for all of our terms, definitions, and examples. Okay? So leave that space there. It doesn't have to be a finger width apart, just enough to where you can write your title. 6 types of lines. There you go. So, this is how we're going to use it. Let me get the first term. You're going to write the word line and draw it. Draw what a line is on there. paste it on the outside. And then we're going to put the definition. So we fold it open, and you want your definition to go here. So you can have a definition to the term. Here we go. And then, in this square, we're going to put an example. So, an example of a line that goes both directions forever is a number line. Because numbers never end, so a number line is a perfect example of a line. Now let's go with a line segment. Remember, a line segment is a portion of a line. Just a little portion of it. So we're going to put it right there underneath. Part of a line between 2 points, right? That cutout part of a line. And an example of that would be a shoestring. That's my little graphic of a shoestring there. You can come up with your own example. And you don't have to draw it, but you can. Now let's go for the next one, array. Remember what array is. It's part of the line, but it's cut. So it has an endpoint, but goes forever in one direction the other way. So that is array. And we'll put the definition there. When you put the definitions in here, you don't have to make it a long and lengthy one. This is for you, so you put the definition there to where you'll remember about what it is, okay? An example of a ray is a ray of sunshine coming from the sun, the starting point, and shooting all the way through space, past Earth, to wherever it goes, and it keeps on going. A ray. And we have 3 more. Let's go with perpendicular lines. Remember what perpendicular lines are? Lines that intersect at right angles. It has to have the right angles to be a perpendicular line, okay? Let's put the definition there. And an example of that, you can find that in your house or at your school, the tiles on the floor. I put kitchen floor tiles, but it doesn't have to be in the kitchen. You walk in the hallway, you see those perpendicular lines, okay? Now we're going to parallel lines. And parallel lines, when I was trying to think of an example, I couldn't think of one. Finally, one popped into my head. What is an example of lines on a plane that never intersect and are the same distance apart and keep on going? The railroad. The rails on the railroad. They're an even distance apart and they just keep on going and going and going and going. Now we know that somewhere the railroad tracks end, but it's just an example. And now the last one we have is intersecting lines. Remember, they're like perpendicular lines, but they're not the same thing because they are lines that cross at a point and they don't have to have right angles and form square corners. Just lines that cross at a point. An example of that for me, still thinking about transportation, was roadways on a map. Sometimes they cross each other at weird angles, and so that's what I put as my example, roadways on a map. And so there's the little handout, the pull out, the fold out that you can use. Put in your notebook, pull it out when you need to use it on the test, if you're allowed to. And that's it. Those are the lines, the 6 different types of lines. Thank you for visiting with me, and have a good day.